When you hear Qatar 2022, you probably think soccer, right? Messi, that epic final, the whole thing. But what if I told you that behind the games was something, well, something way bigger? We're talking about one of the most ambitious mega projects in modern history. This wasn't just about building a few stadiums. No, this was about building an entire nation's infrastructure, all while racing against the clock on one single, totally immovable deadline.
So, just to give you a sense of the sheer scale we're talking about, let's run through some quick numbers. First up, new expressways. We're talking almost 1,800 kilometers of them. To put that in perspective, that's like driving all the way from New York City clear down to Miami.
Okay, on top of that, 207 brand new bridges, literally stitching that entire new road network together.
And they didn't stop there. Another 143 tunnels just burrowing through the landscape to make sure everything connected seamlessly. I mean, the volume of pure civil engineering here, it's just staggering.
And then there's this number, $36 billion. And that was just for the integrated Doha Metro system, the project designed to tie everything together. You see all this, and it all leads to one absolutely massive question. Seriously, how on earth do you coordinate thousands of projects, from roads to rail to stadiums, knowing the whole world is watching and that kickoff date cannot be moved by a single day? It sounds impossible, right? Well, they pulled it off. And the secret wasn't magic, it was a really clear, really powerful strategic framework.
So let's get into it. How'd they do it? It turns out there was a real method to all this madness. We can actually break down their whole blueprint into a pretty simple but super powerful three-part solution.
Okay, so here are the three pillars that held the whole thing up: deadline-anchored planning, systems integration, and something called legacy-first design. Let's break down that first one.
All right, so first up is deadline-anchored planning. And this totally flips traditional project management on its head. See, most projects ask, okay, when can we start and how long will it take? They ask the opposite. The World Cup starts on this exact day, so what is the absolute latest we can finish the stadium roof and still be ready? Everything was planned backwards from that one fixed point. It meant every single deadline for every single team became totally non-negotiable. Talk about creating a sense of urgency.
Okay, number two, systems integration. This is where things get really smart. Instead of thinking of these as separate projects, a road project here, a metro project there, they treated the whole thing like a single living ecosystem. The roads are the arteries, the metro is the nervous system, the stadiums are the vital organs. It's all connected. So if there's a problem in one spot, like a huge traffic jam, the whole system is built so that fans can just hop on the metro instead. Nothing was built in a vacuum. Everything had to work together. And this brings us to the third principle, which is, honestly, maybe the most brilliant part of the whole thing: legacy-first design. Now, you've probably heard of white elephant projects, right? These giant, expensive stadiums get built for a big event, and then once the party's over, they just sit there, empty and costing a fortune to maintain. Qatar's approach was the exact opposite. From day one, they were planning for the day after the final whistle. They actually designed stadiums with modular, removable sections that could be taken down and donated. The goal was long-term value, not a long-term bill. Okay, so a big picture strategy is great, but how do you actually execute it? I mean, we're talking about thousands of people and a million moving parts. You can't just wing it. You need the right tools for the job.
One of their key tools was something called the critical path method, or CPM. And this thing is like a project manager's superpower. It basically maps out every single task and identifies the one critical chain of events that has absolutely zero room for delays. So, for a stadium, that path might be pour the foundation, then erect the steel frame, then install the roof. If you're 1 day late pouring the foundation, the entire project is 1 day late, period. This tool told them exactly where they had to focus all of their attention all the time.
Next up, how do you stop things from turning into total chaos when you have so many different teams working together? They use something called RACI charts. It's a super simple but powerful tool that answers 4 key questions for any task: who is responsible for doing the work, who is accountable for it getting done, who needs to be consulted, and who just needs to be kept informed. Basically, it's a way to get rid of all the finger pointing and make sure everyone knows exactly what their role is.
And finally, they knew the world wasn't just watching their schedule. They were watching their ethics too. So they used a tool called a balanced scorecard. This is really interesting. It meant a project manager couldn't just say, we're successful because we're on budget. Nope. They also had to measure and report on things like sustainability and, critically, on worker safety and labor practices. It basically forced everyone to think about what a successful project really means, beyond just time and money.
So, when you step back, this is way more than just a story about a soccer tournament. What can the rest of us actually learn from this huge undertaking? Well, it turns out the big lessons here are things we can all use.
If you boil it all down, there are 3 huge takeaways. First, use your end date as your North Star. Plan everything around it. Second, build your systems to be tough and flexible, not brittle. And third, and this is maybe the biggest one, always design for what comes next, not just for opening day. That idea of legacy, that's the real game changer here.
And that really is the heart of it all. For the people running this project, legacy wasn't just some buzzword they threw around. It was baked into the plan from the very beginning. You see it in those modular stadiums we mentioned, and even in things like a $50 million fund they set up to support health and education projects around the world. It proves that real success isn't just about the event itself, it's about what you leave behind.
So that leaves us with one last, pretty fascinating thought. Think about it. This blueprint, this combination of deadline anchoring, systems integration, and legacy-first thinking, it was used to totally transform an entire country's infrastructure in a little over a decade. So if it can work for something that massive, what other huge challenges, what other supposedly impossible deadlines could we tackle with this same approach?